Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Dante here from Karting Eupen. I think that's how you say it, Karting Eupen. Very close to the German border. This is a track I've been wanting to do for a long time, many years. At least 5 years, something like that. And you can see the actual facility from these first few shots. Proper venue, proper setup. No wonder this first session's busy here. You know, people want to give this a go. Karts are brand new as well, very new, only a few weeks old from what I can understand. They certainly look it, they certainly feel it, because they're very balanced to drive. Yeah, so this is my first time around this track. This is probably one of the most fun things to do, really, when you've done so many kart tracks, is to try new ones, see how quickly you can get used to it, how quickly you can adapt. That is the skill, after all, how quickly you can adapt. And a very complex layout as well, not too complex, but you know, there's lots of different hairpins, elevation, stuff like that. A little bit slippery as well, as you can see with this driver ahead of us. He's absolutely loving the slippery conditions, absolutely sending it full horse every corner. But yeah, drifting's not always the quickest way. It's almost always not the quickest way. But yeah, so we're going to follow this driver for a little bit. They seem to know a little bit what they're doing. I didn't know at all what the ability was of these drivers. You know, if these are drivers who are literally doing it for like the first or second time, even though I don't think it is too much, but some of them clearly not not seasoned karters anyway. It always impresses me how much quicker places like Belgium pick up karting compared to drivers in the UK. I mean, you get drivers in the UK who just, you know, the open drivers, they're pretty pants, you know. I'm not blaming them at all. It can be quite difficult. Some of the circuits are very slippery, very difficult to get used to. But I mean, drivers abroad, you know, it doesn't matter where it seems to be, whether it's France, Portugal, here, they just get used to it so quickly, and I just don't understand how they can do that really so much better than the UK. And that must be, you know, part of the trust that the staff have in their drivers, because you can see here this long track, 1,100 meters, and it's only marshalled by like one or two marshals in the middle of the track. You can see a little bit of action happening here then. So we had a lot of fun overtaking drivers to start off with. We're going to try and overtake this driver as well. We're going to stick our nose in, and turns in. Tight one, that one, tight one. I guess it could go either way. I'm saying racing incident, but I can see why you want to blame me there for that one. I was a bit worried actually. I was going to meet some angry retaliation, but luckily none of the sort happened. We could just move on like adults. But yeah, a lot of sliding going on for drivers who don't really know what they're doing. I did have a hard time learning the track beforehand, but you kind of get used to the weird angles and everything like that. Even though the surface looks the same all around the track, it does behave a little bit differently in places. Particularly you can see blue sections along the track, which seem to grip up the car a lot quicker than just a standard surface. You can see here the screens as well on the Sony kart, so everything very technically advanced. You can see your lap times throughout, see your position. That purple flash, you couldn't read the text on this camera, but it said fastest lap of the day. Somehow, I mean, this is only the 5th lap, so clearly none of the regulars have done the track this day, because I'm still like overtaking people. Not really too sure what I'm doing, but I do know that there are a very committed group of members that do this track. Probably weekly, I would have thought. You know, this is a proper facility. You're going to get proper people who come here who take it very seriously, which is obviously a good thing. And they'll be a lot quicker than what I'm doing right now. There's no doubt about that. This corner here, it was actually quite difficult to spot the apex. Quite dark in that area, but otherwise, generally, the track was pretty well lit. Yeah, it was totally enjoyable. Totally what I was hoping for in terms of the enjoyment levels, the track design, the comfort of it. You can see the marshals actually using the blue flags as well to make sure there's not too much traffic build up. Just like the previous track I covered here on this channel, Goodwill Karting Olin, but it was a lot more narrow there. Here is way more spacious for an indoor track, and you know, this is what you need, you know, because it's less important to use the blue lights here, because it actually is a lot easier to overtake, and especially with the slippery conditions as well, because you can make the time up. You know, good drivers will be able to prevent the sliding, well, prevent excessive sliding. You know, be good with throttle control. So it's not actually necessary to need blue flags here personally. But you can see that I'm sure you've been watching here. The track design is superb. And the way it flicks to the right, to the left here, you've got the blue surface on the floor here as well, gripping the car up nicely. It just had a great flow to it, and I just really enjoyed it. You know, this is just not what the UK has at all. I would give a lot for the UK to have this track, especially if it was my local. But you can see we're getting very close with the barriers now. The way the corners just flow into each other is really fun to drive. You know, obviously we have a lot of competitions in the UK with the team sport staff, the British Rental Kart Championship staff, and all those indoor tracks are either very short or there's not a lot to it. You know, Formula Fast is, you know, as much as it's a great venue, they're putting a lot of time, effort, money into it, which is great. You know, it's a very simple track, and the result of that is pretty much everyone can drive it as long as you do enough practice, and then it can become very difficult to make the difference. But a track like this, where it's as complicated as this, same as kind of Warrington in the UK with its complex nature, until, you know, it kept being the final venue for years and years, so everyone ended up learning it very well. But this track, you know, it's good. You can really differentiate from a good and bad driver, not a bad driver, but a less good driver. The skill really comes into it a bit more. There's so much more to deal with, much more variety of corners. You can see again these blue flag systems working very well, and I was a bit worried actually, considering there was 20 odd drivers going out in the first session. I thought, yeah, it's going to be carnage, it's going to be yellow flags, I'm going to struggle to get by, people are going to put me in the wall. But then I remembered it's not the UK, and it was totally fine. Like, I didn't have to worry at all about, you know, crazy drivers or anything like that. But you can see we're getting more used to it now, challenging the barriers a lot more. It's the same with anywhere really in terms of indoor karts. If you clip the barriers, high chance of you just running wide, and yeah, ruining your flow. I found this section quite difficult because the track would grip up weirdly halfway around the corner. I know it didn't look it there, but I just managed it well. But it was actually very difficult to be consistent at that corner. But this whole section here, this sector 3, was really cool. They did actually split the track up into sectors, and that does show up on the timing, but it only worked for the first 3 laps. So after that, you could only see sector 1 and then your end result. Overtaking this driver here, we caught up to them really fast, so I'm just thanking this driver. Thank you for moving out of the way, and bang! And the dirt is not gone. I mean, what was that? I don't know what he was trying to do there. You have a driver who's caught up to you so fast, and you think, oh, this driver's opening up the corner a lot, I'm going to go up the inside. Bang! Don't get it. Really don't get it. You know, I thought I was back in the UK for a second there. Anyway, this track runs a lot of endurance races actually. They also run a lot of Sodi World Series races. I think that's how I learned of them. Races, I think they run 24-hour races. Maybe just 12-hour races, I'm not sure. However, what I really like about what tracks like this do for the endurance races is that they make everyone swap kart every stint. I think that's a really cool concept, because it means you're not stuck with the same kart throughout the whole race. Just makes it a lot more fairer, I think. Yeah, it's quite impressive really. Moving on towards near the end of the session of this first one anyway, and you can see we really are getting to grips with it now. Really challenging the apexes and everything like that. And I'm trying to think of any other big tracks that Belgium have. I know there's one a little bit more north than where this track is based, but you know, Belgium's not exactly a big country, so I don't think there's as much option as there is in the UK. I mean, in the UK there's so much option. To be honest, that's mostly thanks to team sport for just plonking the venue at every opportunity. But I don't think there's much option in Belgium, unless I'm completely wrong, especially on a level like this, which totally destroys the level in the UK, don't get me wrong. But yeah, we're willing to know if there's anything else in Europe. Maybe you guys can fill me in as to what other tracks there are to do. I would love to do more, you know. I'd really like travelling around and trying different tracks out, especially that's what this taught me anyway. The first session ended, I came first, so yeah, I don't think everyone was seasoned karters really in that session. But can you believe it? Second session, which I already booked before arriving, I was the only one. So I get the pleasure of driving this whole track by myself, on my own. I mean, that's just, that's great. I really like that because, I mean, I can just be in my own space, just focus on me, focus on my consistency, just see what I could do, really. Obviously, the track wasn't going to warm up as much because I was the only kart going around. But I did end up going quicker than the other session, and that's this lap right here. So, yeah, this was my best lap in the whole session. And you'll just see that I'm just able to control the kart a lot better. The steering is generally staying central because I'm just carrying a consistent slide. The kart not really stepping out. Yeah, I had a lot of fun actually. I did have a lot of fun. It didn't tire me out either, this track. You know, this combination of this surface and these karts are just so comfortable to drive. Really not too demanding on you, at least that's what I felt. Even the elevation here, it was never harsh on your body. It's quite soft, the elevation, it kind of eases you into it. But yeah, it's literally just about controlling the slide and just not letting it step out too far. I still wasn't, I mean, you can see there, it wasn't really a great sequence of corners there, but I kind of ran out of time on trying to set anything better than that. I think the track did progressively get better, and then it kind of stayed the same, which I was expecting anyway. But yeah, how did I get on? I thought I did pretty well. I thought that was quite a clean lap considering it was my first time. You know, quite a long track, quite a lot to learn. But I really enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. I will see you at the next one.